Hi, my name is Cassandra Contreras. I'm 22 years old and I went to UC San Diego. Right now, it's Now and Then by the Beatles. It just dropped and I was really excited about it. I don't know if it would necessarily count as a quote, but I guess right now I'm just living by the day by day rule. So whoever said that, thank you. I guess something that was a little bit embarrassing that happened recently was I went to a conference and I was in charge of social media management for our team, and I was recording one of our team members go up on stage and they had to play rock paper scissors against each other, and I didn't realize how loud I was cheering, and I had the phone right in front of me. So when I posted it, I didn't realize I sounded really loud, and all you could hear was my voice because I guess I was covering the other mic. It was a little embarrassing, but the responses I got from people that were just commenting or setting up on our stories was really fun to hear, because it's they didn't necessarily hear my voice, even though that's all I could hear. It was a little embarrassing. It was a little lesson learned. Don't cover the mic. But it was very fun. My little sister, she's a real go-getter. She's 2 years younger than me, but she has probably one of the most impressive resumes I've seen, and she's always on the go. I think to me success is measured through happiness. You can be very successful professionally, but if you're unhappy, then what does that success really amount to? I guess something that I was recently really proud of accomplishing was my thesis. It was a hard 30 weeks of back and forth creative writing, meeting with my thesis mates and my advisor, and it was really hard work. And I think once we got to the finish line and everybody got to give their presentations, it was just really satisfying. I think something I would, give as a tip is read more. I don't think as a society we do enough reading, and I think the more you read, the more you learn. And if you're trying to become a better writer, what better way to learn than to read? My short-term goal right now is to get into the master's program. My long-term goal, and I think I just realized this goal recently, would be to have my own firm, a creative firm, possibly in public relations, where I can have all these people who not necessarily always fit into the corporate mindset, and more of a creative, I guess you call it a creative corporation, to say the least. Yeah, reading. I do a lot of reading. I'm always reading. I go to Barnes & Noble maybe once every 2 weeks, and I'm always finding something new to read. And I think just the joy of opening up a new book and then the joy of finishing it, or sometimes the sadness of finishing it, is great. I think kindness to me means a lot of different things. I think most of all, it's the ability to listen to others. And when you're there and you're listening to somebody, sometimes we don't realize the extent to which listening to someone could really, help somebody else out. And I think most recently, with a lot of the hardships I've recently faced in my life, I've just been really grateful for somebody to listen, even if it's my roommate, if it's my friends, if it's my parents. Just listening is really powerful. Yeah, I guess right now something that I'm most very, very passionate about is about LGBTQ rights in Mexico. So I am Mexican, and most recently there was a death of, I guess you could say, a government member who was part of the LGBTQ community openly. And I think as a community and as a country, there needs to be more ways in which we're able to support these individuals. To make a positive impact on your community, I think you need to look at yourself first. You kind of have to sit down and analyze what are things that you could have used from your community that would have helped you out in some sort of way, shape, or form. So if you take a look at things that you might have needed in terms of support, you might be able to find the solutions as to what you can do for others. I guess the most difficult thing recently was coming to terms with the way that employment is right now, especially coming out as someone straight out of university. We're always kind of told that there's all these opportunities for us, but sometimes that's not necessarily the reality. So I think coming to terms with it would be kind of having to sit down and take an evaluation of my life and where it is that I am right now, realizing, hey, it's not the end of the world, you're only 22. And just being able to change your outlook on life and realize that you need to change sometimes. Sometimes you look at your life path and you think everything's going to be a straightforward timeline, and it's not that way. So I think that's something really difficult recently that I've just had to overcome mentally in order to push myself forward. I think just take your time. Being able to like sit down and possibly like distract yourself from those anxieties, yeah, I would call them anxieties, is something that could be really helpful. Maybe go outside, go on walks, find something you want to do, and eventually the opportunities will come. I guess meeting my current best friend, when we met each other, we didn't like each other. That's very typical for stories about friendships, right? But I think in getting to know each other and meeting each other and just talking and conversing and going through a lot of like life problems together has given me a new perspective on things. She's taught me a lot about family matters, personal matters, and professional matters, and I think learning from each other has probably been some of like the best things that have gone on in my life. I think legacy is kind of like a complicated word because sometimes people think about it in like the big terms of like, you know, how the whole world will perceive you. But to me, I think legacy would kind of be something smaller, like in terms of like my family and friends. I think the legacy I would like to leave is something more like personal, emotional, and it's just being there for others. So I always hope that like my siblings learn that from me, the ability to be there for others, and that they're able to continue to pass on those like sentiments to other people, whether it be their friends or their coworkers or whatnot. So that's kind of the legacy I wish to leave. I think looking at the expenses that it's going to take to go to grad school has definitely taken a bit of a toll on my decision making, but education's an investment and it's always been that way. So I think being able to use this scholarship to further my education and possibly remove some of that financial hardship would definitely be helpful. Most recently, I've decided to take the task of taking creative advantage of my personal goals and my own visions for what it looks like to work in media or pursue a career in media. So I have recently just started drafting my own magazine that I'm going to curate along with my friends, and I think that most of the times we look at sort of these ventures and we understand that they're a risk, but lots of these risks end up paying off, whether it be on a large scale of professional risk that you take that may benefit you in the future, or a smaller scale risk like possibly, you know, the little investments that you make here and there when it comes to creating these sorts of projects. And I think being able to pursue something that I'm passionate about and something that I've recently really wanted to pursue is something that I would like for you guys to know about me.